Common closing techniques. In this section, we will review some popular closing techniques. I have used most of these techniques at one time or another. Having said so, I am not a big fan of closing techniques. I believe that the best thing that you can do for your prospects and yourself is develop a proven system, master that system, and then do your best to stay true to the selling process. My standard closing technique is the summary close, which from my perspective is simple and straightforward. It is one of the techniques described in the following slides. The order form close. Very early in the appointment, the salesperson places an order form on the customer's desk. At the end of the appointment, the sales representative may ask for the customer's business card and then proceed to write up the order based on what was discussed and the direction that is best suited to the conversation. I want to think about it close. Customer states, I want to think about it. The salesperson uses this technique to determine if the statement is sincere. They say, I can understand that you would want to carefully consider my recommendation. Just to make certain I am on the same page, may I ask what part of our discussion it is that you will be considering? Is it the quantities? Based on the response to this, yes or no, then you will either move on to something else or address the item they need to consider because they obviously have some concern or objection to it. Often the I want to think about it statement is a price issue. Invitational close. This is a statement that you would use to invite them in some manner. For instance, why not come out and give us a try? What have you got to lose? Hot button close. To use this close, you focus on something that the customer expresses positive feelings about. For instance, and besides all the great things about our delivery, we are the only supplier that manufactures that paving stone in colors that are most appropriate with your customers. In business-to-business sales, you are often interacting with a more worldly, intelligent, and sophisticated decision maker. These people have ample life experience. They are often trained and well educated. With that in mind, heed the advice of Neil Rackham. From what I now know about success in the larger sale, I see closing techniques as both ineffective and dangerous. Assumptive close. The salesperson takes a leading role in the sales process and closes the sale by assuming that it is what the customer wants. For instance, now that we've covered all the important details about becoming a dealer, the next step is for me to fill out this credit application. Alternatives close. This close offers choices to the customer. The best part about this close is that the salesperson offers solution A or B, both of which are his or her solution rather than the competition's. Would you like the product shipped to this location or your other location? Ben Franklin close. A wonderful close for those who struggle with making decisions. Named after Benjamin Franklin, this close uses the pros and cons to help the customer come to a logical conclusion. Divide a page down the middle. On the left, write pros, and on the right, cons. Help reinforce all the positive reasons to do business by helping the customer fill out as many responses as possible on the left side. Once the pros, left side, is done, say nothing to help them come up with reasons why they shouldn't go ahead. The puppy dog close. A pet shop owner may suggest to a parent that if they are struggling with the decision of buying the pet, why not take it home for the weekend and give it a try? If things don't work out, bring the puppy back Monday morning and I will gladly refund your money. Chances are that dog isn't coming back. Techniques can be wonderfully advantageous. Misuse of them can also have the opposite effect of what is intended because based on Neil Rackham's findings, most professional buyers have an unfavorable view of closing techniques. The sharp angle close. This close can be used to address a final objection. The customer may state a concern. The salesperson replies, "Other than that concern, is there anything else standing in the way of us doing business?" The customer says no. Then the salesperson says, "Mr. Customer, if I can address this concern to your satisfaction, will you be prepared to go ahead with this order?" This would be the sharp angle close. The subject to condition close. This is an excellent close to use when there is a key issue or condition that is important to the customer in order for them to make a decision. If going ahead with the order hinges on that one thing being addressed, you can suggest writing the order up subject to management approval. If you know that the condition isn't a deal breaker, you still use it so you can be their hero. The pizza close. When you have a customer who has had a bad experience and they are reluctant to proceed, use this closing technique. Ask them, "Do you like pizza?" If they say no, try coffee. Then say, "Mr. Customer, have you ever burned your mouth on pizza before?" Most likely the answer is yes. Did that stop you from having pizza again? The answer is likely no. Then say, "I realize that you had a bad experience in the past, but I'm certain that it was an isolated incident, and I would like you to consider giving us another try, just like you have in the past when you had a bad experience with pizza." Summary close. In this closing technique, your recap is the close. Previously in this module, the concept of making a recommendation was covered in detail. The summary close and making a recommendation could be considered one and the same. You don't require closing techniques with a customer who wants to buy. Neil Rackham, Spin Selling. Therefore, the real secret to success in professional sales is mastering the steps in the entire sales process. Acronyms are often helpful for people when they are just learning a skill. Here is a helpful one that may come in very handy when you arrive at an obstacle and need that little extra leverage to help you finalize a sale with a customer. Compare. Compare the cost to the present or competitive solution offered in terms of cost per usage, per day, or over the lifetime of the product or service. Compare the cost savings when the complete picture is taken into consideration. Compare to the performance and/or life expectancy. Compare what the customer will potentially miss out on by not choosing your product or service. Compare the improvement over the current method. Compare by painting a visual picture for the prospect so that they may truly understand the difference. Lose. Customers tend to be motivated to buy for one of two basic reasons: gain, often referred to as greed, and fear of loss. What does your prospect risk losing if they don't make a favorable decision? Help them to see how they may potentially lose by not moving forward on your recommendation. What do you have to lose if you don't? Opinion. Sometimes the best way to close a sale is to let the prospect sell themselves on why they should buy. There are two questions that you can ask to achieve this result. If you want to know what they are thinking, ask them, "What are your thoughts on this?" This is a logic-based, rational question that asks them to speak their mind. The second question you could ask is, "How do you feel about what we've discussed?" These questions require a sincere emotional response that will come from the heart. When you ask for opinion, it is important to phrase your question in a manner that is directed to the type of response best suited to the end result that you are attempting to achieve. Story. Stories are powerful. Some of the best closers are amazing at using success stories from other clients to persuade a prospect to move forward on their proposal. Understanding the advantages that your product or service has provided to others will help your prospect visualize why it is the right choice for them. You can also relate horror stories of what happened to people because they neglected to engage your services and instead took a chance that proved to be very foolish. Example: providing examples of what the prospect can expect once they decide to give the go-ahead can stir emotional triggers and get them excited about the idea of becoming your customer. Paint a mental picture to help them see what benefits are going to take place as your company begins to implement the new agreement. There you have it. Close, C-L-O-S-E. Compare, lose, opinion, story, example. How you choose to use these will depend on the type of product and or service that you are selling and the type of client that you are working with on an individual basis. This concludes step number 9 of the learning path. Please click on the green Next button with the white arrow in order to advance to the next step.